Here we are.
Wow.
I mean, in a completely new setting.
I know it's jarring for everyone, including me.
You know what? Like off the bat, I'm noticing.
What?
We're so much farther away from each other.
I'm used to being able to touch your hand.
I feel like we are kind of touching the entire time. Should we? Uh-oh.
And that's what it's going to be like.
And that's enough.
Yeah, that's actually enough.
That's for the Patreon.
No, it's good because we need to have boundaries. We need to have energetic barriers between us.
We just revealed foot like 30 seconds in.
Yeah, because it's season 2 and we're up leveling.
Yeah.
And we're giving the people what they want.
And next time, no socks, no shoes.
Okay, that's going to be hard for me, but I can do it.
I mean.
But we just for the Patreon though.
That's what for rent.
Yeah.
For rent.
For rent.
For rent and groceries. With inflation, like I will show crusty foot.
For sure. And people will love that and be actually attracted to me more.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. How are you doing?
I mean, how am I doing? I feel like
it's good to sit with that for a second.
Yeah. No, thank you for asking.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, I feel like a goddamn lifetime has passed since we did this last.
Yeah. We had an idea to maybe record outside the stew.
Yeah.
To maybe dust the mic off a little bit, but then we just chose not to.
Right.
So now we're just raw dogging it.
No, exactly.
Which I think is fine.
I feel like just to give everyone like a lens into like Floundering Inc. When we said outside the stew being my living room, I was literally envisioning us like recording outside, like in a park.
Oh.
And then you quickly shot that down. You were like, I feel like that's like probably not a good idea.
Yeah, because of all the sounds.
Correct. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about Mother Nature.
We can try it. I don't want to shoot you down all the time.
I'm just saying that I think this is a better definition of us recording outside the stew, is actually being within the stew.
Well, we're in the stew now.
Correct.
But prior to this, we were recording outside the stew in the kitchen of your apartment.
It wasn't my kitchen.
It was the kitchen table. It was the table.
I was going to say, if you view my living room as a kitchen, I got to get my energy right quick.
No, it's not a kitchen. It's actually really separate from kitchen.
Correct. Yeah.
But we're out of practice, so I mixed up my words.
No, of course. I mean,
I'm so sorry for that.
We did have a kind of like chat in the bathroom before this where we locked eyes and we said, I'm nervous.
And it was the overhead lighting was sort of showing every single pore and blemish on my face. And I thought, that's cool that I kind of chose to go au naturel for this.
No, same. And I kind of like, interesting that I chose to bravely don sweat stains in both of my armpits.
I don't see them.
Well,
but hopefully you guys do.
Again, Patreon.
If
you want the sweat stains and the crusty feet, pay us some money.
Sweat stains are the new feet in terms of weird kinks, I think.
I would be Donald J. Trump if that was true.
You mean you'd be Prez?
I'd be president, a billionaire.
Future president of the United States?
And maybe like in trouble with the law.
I'm sorry that I am getting political again, but did you see Lil Jon at the DNC?
Yeah. I mean,
that was a crazy thing that happened.
That was nuts.
I'm still kind of processing that and coming to terms with it.
I mean, many people are calling this the DNC of podcasting.
I've heard that
from
on the
like
streets.
A couple. Yeah.
And Lil Jon is actually here. He's coming in later.
He's behind, but he's small. So you'll see him later.
But he's loud.
He's behaving though right now.
Yeah. Good boy.
Okay. Is that what he does?
That was good. Do that again.
No, not with this professional grade mic in front of me.
No, and with camera footage, there's no denying it.
Don't do me dirty like that.
I'm sorry.
During our
you
relaunch,
volunteered that.
You're right. I tried, and then you made me do it again.
Well, welcome to the DNC of podcasts.
Yeah,
we're happy to be here.
Where we're campaigning for your love and affection.
And that's all.
And likes and money and all the good stuff that
and
goes
you don't
into...
even need to Pokemon go to the polls. You can do it from the comfort of your home.
Yeah, you can.
Actually.
You absolutely can.
And that's what's beautiful about Floundering.
I completely agree.
Should we...
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should cut there.
I think we should cut here and then intro music.
And then get into it.
Okay, sweet.
All right, so to summarize, I guess, welcome back, you freaks.
Yeah, welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Carey looks... in the spirit of summer transformations, like she had a glow up.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
I think you're lying.
Why would I ever lie? When have I ever lied to you?
Because, okay, well, I have so many thoughts right now that are jumping around in my head, including that I think the concept of glow up is inherently offensive.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying you were being mean to me right now.
How about this? You've always been hot, and miraculously
Obviously.
you're hotter.
Right. And it just continues to become more that way over time.
Yeah.
But I feel like whenever people are like, oh my God, she had such a glow up, it's literally being like, you used to be frumpy and ugly and now you're hot randomly. And it's like, it's a backhanded compliment.
Interestingly, no one's ever told me I've had a glow up, which kind of insinuates that I'm just crusty.
Because you're always glowing.
Wow. Well, I'll hold on to that for sure.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to say that this is fun. I keep looking into the camera because it's like I feel like I'm in Blue's Clues where I'm like, hey kids, like like I want to invite them in, but then it's like, no, this is us. This is our podcast.
Correct. Yeah.
So we should keep that in mind, and I should keep that in mind.
Definitely. Anyway, I cut right to your physical looks, which is I feel like what I always do on this show.
Which to be clear, I'm pro that.
Yeah. All I'm trying to say is you've been hot. And somehow, girly, you're looking hotter.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Back to, I think why people are here. We just want to say we missed everyone.
I missed this space.
Yeah.
The healing space of Floundering Inc.
I did too. And for those who are just joining, what an epic time to be along for the ride.
Yeah. Wow. It's called Floundering. And we're still figuring out like what that is, which is sort of the whole point of it.
I think the more time has passed, the more confused we've been about what exactly we're doing here.
Right. It's this Jungian life if it were stupid, and also comedy.
Mm-hmm. Everyone is saying it's Terry Grost's least favorite podcast.
It's your least favorite musician's least favorite podcast.
That's absolutely right. And write that down.
And write that down.
Yeah.
We're the inverse of Chapel Roan.
Exactly. Welcome to this twisted little universe.
We're so happy to have you. That's Isabelle.
And that's Carey.
That's the first time we've ever done intros of each other.
I've actually wanted to poll. Well, first of all, there's no listener who I haven't met because I'm related to all of the listeners.
And I'm now related to them as well because they've adopted me.
Right. But I guess if there were any strangers out there, I've always I've wanted to poll them on what do you think based on our voices we look like? Right. You know what I mean? Now that we're here, they no, that can't be right.
And it's upsetting because you famously got feedback recently that someone that you know has a crush on my voice. Which that's a direct quote. That's not something I made up.
No, certainly not.
And then it's like, oh no, what if they see me and they think, actually, she's a hideous hag?
Well, I think, we try our hand at this here once. And then if we get mean vitriol in our comments on YouTube, which I'm fully expecting, we will go back to audio only. My ego is
I will move
fragile.
to Timbuktu at that point.
Yeah.
It's no podcast anymore.
No, I'll put a Glad trash bag over my head and you'll never see me again. No worries.
No, my body will wash up on a shore somewhere.
Yeah. I'll donate my body to science. No worries. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll use our bones
it'll be
for the bone museum.
Yeah, for that bone museum.
Love it.
That's apparently close by.
Yeah, our stew is actually next door to a bone museum, which we just learned about beforehand from our producer.
I also wonder if that guy, Mr. Bone Museum, is hey, and by the way, don't tell anyone about the Bone Museum.
Hey, actually, we're not licensed.
Hey,
so.
and by the way, kind of this stays between you and me, forever.
Yeah, it's a bone museum, quote unquote.
And if not, I know that you're in room 005.
Right.
So buckle up.
We're kind of broadcasting the Bone Museum's whole
thing.
Literal skeletons in his closet.
Absolutely. But it's kind of convenient that I could end my career here and start my career there. And
your career as a skeleton?
My cinematic universe as a dead skeleton.
As a dead exoskeleton?
And my cinematic universe is really contained here and I feel safe for that reason.
Yeah, I wonder if there's other cute little things. Maybe there's a culinary institute or something that we could kind of...
Why immediately was I like a face painting place?
yeah, like a face painting place
for
children.
I skewer myself here. I humiliate myself, look like a unicorn, and then ask for the bone man to kind of help me meet my maker.
Next time we go to the face painting place first, and then we come here.
Oh,
and then it's I'm a tiger,
and that's randomly I'm a tiger.
It's gonna be our Halloween episode,
dude. The good ideas keep flowing here.
Yeah, this is what happens at Floundering. It's we start and it's we get in the flow and suddenly we're not even floundering at all.
No, and suddenly
we're
Terry
flourishing.
Gross is like, wait a minute, that's my favorite podcast.
Yeah.
And then your favorite artist is like, hold on.
That's your favorite artist, favorite artist.
That's your favorite artist, favorite artist, favorite podcast.
Favorite podcast, yeah.
And it's
your favorite artist, favorite podcast.
That's correct. We've lost all our listeners.
No.
Everyone's like, can you go back to talking about feet? We're really confused.
Everyone's
now.
like, hey, I know we're related to Isabelle, but we're not going to invite her to like the family gatherings anymore.
Oh, like I've lost my last wedding invite.
I do just want to say, because Isabelle and I took a break from the podcast over the summer, but we did see each other a few times, and one of those times was at Isabelle's birthday, and I had my first experience of like someone having a parasocial relationship with me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awesome.
Wait, I need to be very clear that even people like, even friends of mine who have met you multiple times since we've started this are like, where's Carey? Like,
and it's like she's in her room crying.
Yeah, I'm like, well, she's wearing her sound canceling headphones and kind of like mourning the loss of her former self. So
yeah.
She can't come to the phone right now?
Yeah, she actually can't come to our like fun event because she's busy staring at a ceiling or a wall.
She's ruminating. I don't want to get into it. But yeah. And no, she's not good.
But I always sound like I'm really good on the podcast, so I think people think I'm a fun vibe, which is what I
are a fun vibe.
Wanting
people
to
were so
portray.
excited to see you.
I know, and I was excited to see them.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because one of your friends came up to me and was like,
I know you from somewhere.
She was like, I feel like I know you because I spend so much time with you. And I was like, that's so beautiful.
So I feel like before we get into it, I do have to shout out my dear friend, Emily Gretzky, who showed up to the birthday party with a white shirt for people to sign, which the loyal listeners of this show, all 3.5 of you, the half being probably someone who's listened to one episode twice. You'll note that for my 30th birthday, all I wanted was for people to sign a shirt like it was a cast. And there she was, signing me like the decrepit body part that I am.
No, that makes me want to cry.
I haven't even moved the shirt from my kitchen table, aka my gorgeous, gorgeous living room.
Not to mention that somebody made stickers that said support your local flounderer.
I mean, the way that people are just hoping this will go well for me.
They're like, this is all she has.
At a certain point, I was like, guys, it's sad now. I was like, can you lock it up? Can you put away the merch?
It's literally so beautiful.
Like walking into my extended family's place up in the Adirondacks and seeing like a support your local flounderer magnet on the fridge. I was like, this is embarrassing now. Take it fucking down.
It's like the equivalent of like putting like your child's like hand painting on like the fridge.
Yeah, it's like my mom's still drinking out of a mug that has my handprint on it. That says like,
that you made that color me mine.
You mummy.
Yeah,
and mommy is spelled like MOMI, and no one bothered to correct me.
And you're like, I've like had a successful career since then. Like,
yeah,
I've
like
done things.
You know, I'm a CEO.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, it was cute, and now I'm embarrassed.
I think it's really sweet.
And now I'm embarrassed.
And I think it's sweet, and I really like it. And I wish that my family cared about me. But I think it's also cool that they don't. I think it's kind of chic. That
Can you like bottle that like maybe for later?
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
I did tell Isabelle right before this that there's like always an ongoing crisis.
Yeah.
I think everyone who listens to this podcast knows that whether or not anything is happening in my life, there's always a crisis.
Yeah.
And there was a crisis right before we started recording, which is really cool.
I know, but it's so us to like have something go horribly wrong right before we record.
No, I knew it was like, it's like the in comedy, like if you like bomb right before you do a mic and you bomb, but then you have like a show later and you kill. It's like, it's the equivalent of that. It's like I had to have a family crisis happen where like somebody yelled at me and hung up on me. And then like we come here and get it all out. You know?
Of course, that's what this is. From the ashes we, say it with me, rise. One more time. Rise. Okay, well, let's see what we've done. We've introduced ourselves. We've kind of tried again to describe what the show is. I'm still confused.
The way that I see it in my mind is that it's a show where we talk about whatever we want, regardless of whether or not we're qualified to do that.
Yeah, def. And what I love the most about this is we were given the opportunity at the very beginning to like kind of like fact check or like research things on the fly. And I'm like, well, fact checking is going to be new for us. So like
looking up stuff and getting actual knowledge and information is not really our vibe.
Yeah, like like let's put a pin in that and maybe like revisit that. But
especially because every single one of my opinions is just something that someone already has written in the New Yorker or something.
oh yeah, well
cool.
here's some Reaganomics for you. You read something and it tells you what to believe, and then you tell me what to believe, and then I only believe that and nothing else.
No, that's not the Reaganomics.
It's the trickle-down effect.
But that's not what happens.
Okay.
What happens is that somebody writes something. I have no knowledge of that because I'm illiterate.
Sure.
But I just come to the same conclusion as them. And then I say it in a much stupider way.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I'm reading a book where the author says that exact thing, but way better.
Right. And then we pretend like the source knowledge wasn't the original article.
Which it wasn't.
Which it was.
Which it wasn't. Because that would imply that I read articles. You're the one who reads articles.
Yeah, and I'm still the dumbest one here. So what's up with that?
No, I think, look.
We discussed this when you were like, I feel like you do prep work before these episodes. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Because it literally takes the act of God for the neurons in my brain to zap together and create something that's worth listening to. And you just kind of like, you roll out of bed.
Yeah, it's like I should put some effort into anything that I do. But instead I just show up and then I expect that it's going to be all good.
And it usually is. Usually is hon.
And I usually say something like really deep and profound and also like funny and why it's and that's just what having talent is.
Hey, what's your curse? It's your albatross.
You know what else I'm noticing is that we have to look at each other more.
I know.
Like because we're on cam.
Well, I know. Lights,
so
camera,
I can't just
nice camera A, baby.
I can't just like, you know.
Do you see how tense I look?
You look okay, guys laughing because he sees it too.
You literally. Connor's like, no, for real, she's gotta fix that. I'm like, is this good?
No, because
Are people having fun?
Clutching onto my pen for dear life.
Yeah, my hands are saturated. I need to be fully clear with everyone.
Yeah, when you touch the mic, you might need to like wipe it down afterwards.
I didn't realize that we were getting cooked. Yeah. I didn't realize that I would leave here medium rare.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. I thought there would be like a cool breeze or
well,
that there'd be like music playing, kind of like a Vogue photo shoot.
Yeah, you want to be outside so badly.
Now I actually can't lift my hands for fear of like what the Patreon subscribers will see. Which is
well, and we can't give it away to the YouTube.
No, that's for later.
People. No, and I did wear sort of a sweater in a choice that I made.
I wore airplane clothes. It literally looks like I'm traveling cross country.
I think you look amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
This will be the uni every time then. No worries.
I really like the athleisure vibe on you.
Thank you. And you've always been queen of crop sweater.
Thank you.
No underboob though. Bummer.
There is. You just can't. It's for the Patreon. Patreon, I get naked. We strip.
Patreon's about to be wet and wild. It's about to be triple X.
It's going to be wet because your hands are sweaty.
Yeah, people are like, we don't want triple X from Isabelle.
People are like, actually, we're good. Can you just
hey, no, can you like maybe put a sweatshirt on? And
actually, more clothes would be good.
About the bag you mentioned earlier, where is that?
Yeah, because you put it like in front of your body, maybe.
Yeah. And like maybe move the mic up so we can't like see your face.
There's a lot that we can do for you guys if there's like obstructions that you would like to see. You know,
look around. So many objects to hide behind.
We could move one of those plants and just put it sort of right
between. It's between two ferns, except it's behind two ferns.
Well,
aww.
That's Floundering, and
that's a wrap actually. So I think we're gonna go home now. Yeah, because I need to shower.
No, I'm gonna need several business days to sort of.
I can't wait to have a frenetic text exchange with you in our respective Ubers home, panicking.
We're both going to say that was so horrible and so bad. And then we're going to listen to it and we're going to say,
wait a minute.
Geniuses.
We're Terry Gross' favorite podcast.
Yeah. So it's all good.
Enough of that.
So on this podcast, we do an opening segment, which actually isn't the last 30 minutes of what you just listened to.
No, that's actually the cold open.
That was actually...
that was like us onboarding.
No, that was getting you guys sort of...
Quick time check, we're more than halfway through. So
we're going to speed through our topics, which, let me tell you, they ran the gamut of...
Yeah, we got a lot to get through. So,
but we do a segment at the top of the show, typically. It's called Flip or Flop. Would you like to explain what that is?
I'd be honored. So... let's be honest, when Carey and I are apart, which is actually a lot.
Most of the time.
that time apart is bad, but we learn a lot. We experience a lot in that time apart.
And to be clear, like if I ever got invited to the Adirondacks, we wouldn't have to have these conversations.
You would have to kind of be the one to stand by the fridge and explain what support your local flounderer means so that I didn't have to feel that shame every single time I tried to get a yogurt out of the fridge.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
No, I'd be putting you to work. Anyway, so time apart is bad, but in the time apart, we have high moments, flips, and we also generally, I would say almost 100% of the time have flops, which are bad moments.
Bad moments, low moments, most of the time for me.
So when we come together for this auspicious recording, we kind of convene around that. Like, what did you experience? What were your flips and flops in the time apart?
Right. And we usually try to just pick one because, you know, if I were to outline every single flop,
oh, baby,
we'd all be skeletons after this. Not good.
To the boneyard with us. Yes. To the bone museum, which
is conveniently next door.
Which is, I can like smell it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's
is there air
formaldehyde
conditioned
vibes.
over there? Yeah. Are you guys like nitrous oxying?
Oxying.
Yeah. We also did have to get what the cloud is explained to us before this. So you can also understand that nitrous oxying or whatever I just said is not going to be like clicking on intuitively.
I did put us in that position of, I think you know what the cloud is. I feel like I got that vibe from you and I personally don't and I won't ever understand. And I think like that's so many of us and we should all be free to share that we don't know what the cloud is.
No, you really like you called some people in and
I'm calling everyone in and lovingly and compassionately kind of saying, you are seen.
So can we fucking get into it now?
Sure.
Actually, this is annoying.
Sure. No, I actually hate us.
Yeah. Actually, I'm upset.
Okay. Should you go first or me?
You.
Okay. I'll go.
You.
Okay.
Do it.
You guys pick. Well, wait. Okay,
no, seriously, before I keep sweating.
Sorry, I'm sweating too. Okay, well, mine is a flip.
Oh, shocking.
Because I'm in an era of toxic positivity, as I have been since the start of this podcast, and it's working really well. So my flip is that in the past month, I have been embarking on a journey of sobriety. Okay, crowd erupts in applause.
Yeah, can we actually like whatever audio you guys do to kind of like turn down the crowd, the like live audience?
Yeah. We need that sign.
And sit. Can you sit? Thank you.
So yeah, things were not going well for me internally. I was feeling really bad. And so I thought maybe like it's time for me to sort of take responsibility for my life.
Sure. And
for my state of being. And I've talked a lot on this podcast about marijuana and how we have like this toxic love affair. And I just thought, why not say,
I'm done with you,
I'm
boo.
done. And so, okay.
Whoa.
Okay, Meisner.
Okay, you got the part. Okay, you booked.
So I stopped smoking weed about a month ago. I think it's actually been like 32 days, but who's counting? And I shockingly feeling real good.
Interesting.
With that. So yeah, that's pretty much like kind of all I wanted to say, honestly.
Well, okay. I feel like I also have been like, because you showed up to my birthday and I was like, we're drinking cocktails. And you're like, actually, I'm going to have water and maybe some like crudité.
I had a Coke. The bartender said, you know what's good with Coke is cold brew. If you put cold brew in Coke. And I said, that's crazy.
Is that technically a Mexican Coke? Am I making that up?
I'm not sure.
We might look it up.
You might be. And
don't
please,
bother looking
Connor,
it up.
Don't look that up.
And actually, don't look that up.
But he said that it was good. And so I said, I have to try that someday. And then he just said, why not today? And I said, wow, yeah. It's living in the now.
Today is your first day.
Eckhart Tolle said that we should live in the now. And I said, bring it on.
I said, bring it on.
And so I did have it. And it was quite good. I was surprised.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I left that day, having consumed somewhere between, and, numbers are a construct, but yes, between 7 and 12 cocktails. I said, maybe I'm too old to be doing this. And I also feel like it's in right now to kind of not be reliant on substances.
It is.
In a way that was like really grating and upsetting to me at first, where I'm like, can't you kids just sling some martinis like the rest of us?
People have been telling me for 10 years that I should take a tea break, which is when you stop smoking for a little bit so that it's not.
Sure.
Yeah. And every time someone would suggest that, I get mad at them as though they told me I should like go jump off a bridge. Like, I'm like, but you're asking me to take away oxygen from my life. Like,
Right.
that's not.
So I guess I'll stop blinking then too.
Right.
How
I guess
about
I'll stop
that?
sniffing.
Yeah.
But now I've reached a point where I said, no, enough is enough. And I think you're fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's when you're consuming something every day and it's influencing like how you show up in the world.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Totally. But even like in moderation where I'm like, oh, I do notice that when I go out, regardless of what it's for, like it could be like a Tuesday night, I'm going to like a concert where I'm like, well, I got to have at least 2 drinks.
Yeah.
And it's a nice exercise to be like, do I actually need 2 drinks?
No, and
like,
that's
can
what's
I just enjoy this?
That's what's been so crazy about this is like, I genuinely thought like, if I'm chillaxing at home watching, you know, some
Barney
docuseries, Barney, the docuseries,
right, of course, behind the suit.
But Barney, behind the suit, a docuseries. And it's about sexual assault.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, of course.
If I'm doing that, it's like, how am I going to do that without weed? Like,
yeah,
that's not fun. But then I realized it still can be fun.
Do you see yourself going back to the bottle?
Yeah.
To the pipe?
Yeah. I think my hope and dream is that I would have a better relationship with it and be able to, you know, do it in moderation on like a Friday night. But we'll see if that is possible for me. I think I was so codependent with it for a long time that I don't know, we'll see. But I'm surprised at how easy it's been and how good it's been. And do I have an insane amount of anxiety now? Yeah. And am I learning that I was kind of using that to mask? For sure. And my therapist is like, okay, so it's good to know that.
Yeah, for sure. What are the big things you notice? Like what have the best changes been?
Oh my God. Well, we'll get into it later, but I have dreams now and they tell me a lot about what's going on with me. Whereas before I had no idea what was going on with me. Now I'm like, oh wow, I'm
my
living in fear.
My psyche stirs.
Yeah, my psyche stirs and it's
she's
nightmares.
awake now.
Yeah.
And she's mean.
And it's dead bodies a lot, which is strange.
Okay, I'm freaking out that like dead bodies, there's like a message being sent here today.
It's that the
between
dead
Bone Doctor
are here.
and whatever your psyche is up to.
Yeah.
The Bone Doctor. That's his new name, by the way, which would be an epic like Showtime series. I just have to kind of put that out there in the ether.
Is it about like a guy who we can't get into it right now, honestly. We have a lot of topics to get into and look at the time.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's flying.
It's flying by.
Okay. We still have like death on our radar.
No, we're literally in our
about.
first segment.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Have stuck to something and it's not easy to say goodbye to a routine, even if the routine, it's just not easy to say goodbye to routines and create new ones. And
to like change, like it's hard to change, but it's also easy when you just say, okay, I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Ozempic did for you with certain types of food.
Ozempic really has changed my life.
Yeah.
As everyone's like, you look the same. But no, so to answer your question, the dreams, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping. I'm actually sleeping.
Good.
Which everyone's like, I use weed to help me sleep. And it's like, it makes your sleep bad.
Yeah.
You get that, right? And yeah, at first I was like really bored with it. Cause like anytime I would get bored in the day,
you'd smoke.
I would smoke.
Yeah.
And then I'm not bored anymore.
Correct.
But now I'm like, oh my God, I have to like do the things I said I would do.
Right.
And that sucks. That part actually sucks, but it also feels good to like do the things that I said I was
and then
gonna
get
do.
to the other side of it and be like, oh, it's not that bad.
Right.
Like
actually like, cool, I made money.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fascinating.
So yeah, that was my flip. Thank you for listening.
Well, good for you for kicking us off with a flip. I'm going to balance this out.
Good. Thank
with
you.
The flop. I just got to say, man, the internet's been bumming me out recently.
I understand.
For a number of reasons. To start, like, yes, I watched the Olympics like all of us good patriots did. And the way that we are doing the breakdancer Raygun dirty, let that woman live. She spun her little body around on that stage. Sure, it was not what you would maybe expect of an Olympian or perhaps even someone tweaking on the sidewalk. But she showed up in her Australian tracksuit and she represented for her country. And like, since when is the internet just like, since when is takedown culture coming for someone like that? You know what I mean?
It's like, that's just like a pure passionate person.
And like, it'd be one thing if it's like the TikToks like whatever. Like it'd be one thing if it was TikTokers making fun of her. I'm like, the fuck is like Jimmy Fallon? Like, what are these huge talk show hosts doing by like skewering this woman?
That's
Let
so
her
fair.
live.
Right.
And also it'd be one thing if she was like kind of doing it for that, but she came out with this like fucking heartbreaking tell-all where she's like, it's been really hard
Oh my
since the
God.
Olympics to kind of like leave my home. And all of a sudden she's Irish. She's to, you know, leave my home. She's a brogue.
Homeland.
But I just feel bad for her. It's been sad. Like,
Well, also it's like Simone Biles gets the twisties and every person is like,
go
you're
off,
so
queen.
brave, we love you. And it's like this woman gives it her fucking all.
It's
and everyone's
the
like,
first
you
time
actually suck.
breakdancing has, as if we have any fucking idea what like good breakdancing
Also,
is.
to be fair, and this just speaks to me, like not knowing what the cloud is and like being stupid, but like I saw it and I was like, wait, what's wrong?
No, same. I was like, okay, a
so she's
creative
doing stuff I
interpretation
can't
of a
do.
kangaroo going hard. No notes,
Yeah.
actually, in fact.
No, I think that what you're saying also about just like general internet stuff, it's like it's getting really exhausting
Yeah.
to just like exist online and like just the volume
Yeah.
of like the attention that one person will get for one thing.
Oh.
It's just like, I mean, it's gonna be us.
No, well, seriously, watch us get
See,
skewered.
your pit stains are gonna be all over TikTok.
I mean, as long as it pays some bills, do what you have to do.
Yeah, honestly, it's actually fine.
But we've talked about this before where I was just like, enough with the like opening up my phone and seeing the same two things for a financial quarter at a time.
It breaks me.
Yeah.
It actually breaks me internally.
Yeah. Like demure Raygun is all I can see right now when I close my eyes
Yeah.
and when I open my ears.
I was honestly prepared to come on here because we were going to talk about demure,
Yeah.
and then we're not going to anymore except for me right now.
Sure.
I was like prepared to come on here and like talk about how annoying I think it is.
Yeah.
But then I'm just like, I don't even want to talk about it.
But even that's annoying.
Yeah, no,
like now
for sure.
even people posting about it being like, it's annoying. I'm like, fuck off.
Okay, yeah, same. I'm like, actually, it's good. And then someone says demure, and I'm like, stop talking.
No, literally. So we can't win for trying. And I think what we just have to do is, to your point, bag over our head, Timbuktu it.
Timbuktu it.
Timbuktu it is code word for offing ourselves.
Next time I'm just going to
What the
you.
Olympic
I'm gonna
divers
Timbuktu
did
it.
into a pool, I'm about to do off the Empire State Building.
For sure. And it'll be great.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my flop. Just kind of watching this poor woman do her thing on the Olympic stage, and now her life will forever be that. We could have
Yeah.
just been like, hey, A for effort. Like, that was a little crazy for sure, but you did your thing out there, and like now we're going to leave you alone. I think it
Right.
just goes to show how little we have to pay attention to right now. I'm like, that's all we got.
Well, I think it also speaks to like, I was feeling this way about something else because last night I did finally watch The Greatest Love Story Never Told because Bennifer are toast and
Yeah.
they're done, and I'm 100 times more sad about it after watching that.
I know.
But when that first came out, everybody was roasting the shit out of her.
yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, this is good.
Mhm.
Like I was like, unironically, I love this. And I get that she's a nightmare and like is mean, whatever. I haven't met her, so I don't know. I've heard the stories and I
Sure.
believe women,
Yeah.
but whatever. I watched it and I thought, genuinely, this is amazing.
yeah.
She's so passionate about something that no one sees the value in but her.
Yeah.
And she still says, I'm going to do it. I don't even care if you guys have doubts, you think it's stupid. Jane Fonda's trying to tell me not to do it. And she like, you have to strong arm her into being there. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was brave. And it made me mad that everybody was like memeing it and
Yeah.
like making fun of it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I guess it's just like cool to be cruel now. Like,
Yeah.
come up with some, like, I think that's just like, maybe that's what it's upsetting to me, where I'm just like, can you think of nothing
Right.
else other than like making this poor woman feel tiny? Like, procure a new thought.
Yeah.
I implore you.
Why don't you try breakdancing?
And that's you mentioned it. I was like, I could not around the world my body like that, standing on my hands.
No, I can barely sit here and like feel comfortable in
I'm
my
sore.
body.
I'm
Yeah,
sore. My legs are crossed and I'm hurting a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to roll out
Right.
immediately.
No, for sure. I need to Uber home from here because there's
I can barely get my ass to the corner
Right.
without, So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just leave it alone? Leave it alone. I promise you there'll be more stuff that you can comment on, but just leave this one
Well,
alone.
I also think it's like that thing of like people have to get their little joke in. And what's so crazy about that is that there are 5 jokes now.
Yeah.
On TikTok, like there's 5 jokes. And so it's going to be one of those 5 and it's going to be unoriginal and stupid.
Oh, definitely.
But you have to be the one to say, not me thinking this is going to be somebody good at breakdancing. Like actually, or like be so fucking for real.
The
it's
way
like,
that
okay,
people just like smash the cry emoji when you said that. I mean, yeah, I was actually thinking about this on the way over here. I'm like, what would it take to produce like actually original comedy? And then I was like, let's go to a Mennonite community that's never seen a phone and just ask them to do a tight 5-minute set.
have you seen the
And change your mind, I'm
I
sure.
think it's like the Amish girls doing the apple dance.
Yeah, that went hard actually.
That was awesome. I really liked that.
But
for
then I
them.
was like, you guys are on TikTok?
But then it was like the apple dance. That made me hate that song.
I know.
It's like nothing can ever be good anymore because
Nothing's
it gets
good.
just beaten to death.
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
By the algo.
That's it. By the algo.
And I hate that for us.
Mhm.
And that's why it's like I almost hope that we don't go viral. Okay. And I don't want to be famous.
And actually, if the algo's listening, kind of like leave us alone.
Right.
We kind of like where we are right now, which is like hovering around 5 to 12 listeners, and like
That's
we
how
like
we
our
like it.
anonymity.
Yeah. So
So leave us alone. Thank you.
and it's like, yeah, I had a TikTok go like have like more likes than I normally get.
No, it went semi-viral.
It didn't go viral.
It went semi-hard.
It went semi-hard. But then like there was like, if there were like 600 comments.
I hate that I tried to make a penis joke and like try to make you laugh about it.
Oh.
It went semi-hard.
Oh.
And you were like, yeah, no,
It
kind
went
of.
half chub.
I was like, it went semi-hard.
I'm sorry. Now it's like we have Connor here. We have to be respectful.
I know. He's like, girls, no penis talk. Please. Not in God's house.
Not next to the
Not
skeletons.
with the bone, man. Like probably ear to door.
I love how the skeletons have been such a huge part of this and like literally no one was here for that conversation before.
I feel so at peace knowing they're right next door.
Yeah.
Like this. Smiling.
I do hope it's like Marie Antoinette. Or like
Aw, that's definitely who's here.
I think it's her.
It's Tut. It's Cleo. It's the greatest hits.
Yeah. They store them in a Bushwick basement.
Tut and Clee. Okay, wait. New name for our
Okay,
podcast.
Tunsley.
Tag yourself. Who's Tut? I think you're Tut.
I'm Tut.
I think I'm Clee.
You're Clee.
For sure.
That's so, and it's because you're beautiful.
Oh, and you're hot like Tut.
And
I
I'm-
imagine.
No, Tut wasn't hot, but he was angry and rich.
Wasn't he like 13 when he died?
Is that real?
Connor, don't look it up.
Connor, don't look that up.
Don't look that up.
But
Like,
he was
serious.
13.
But how old was King Tut when he died?
Okay, I do think we should.
No, for real.
He was around 18 or 19.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So we weren't far off.
He was 18 or 19.
Snatched, probably.
I thought he was, yeah. Well, he got to be with all his gold and stuff when he died, which was cool.
And his jackals and whatever else is down there. Cool. So with basically no time left, should we fucking move on?
Should we start the podcast now?
So again, that was kind of like second cold open. So you guys are catching on now to what we have going on
Every
here.
segment is just a different cold open, and then we do it close.
Okay, but in the interest of time, let's take a hard look at our agenda.
Yeah.
What do we actually want to dive into?
I think we should talk about the first topic.
Yeah.
And then I think we should just do it.
Chronologically?
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about our dinner?
Yeah.
I think we should do that first.
Okay. I felt like I needed to, like, I got home from that dinner and was like, whatever, all good. I woke up the next morning and I was like, something seismic happened at that dinner.
Yeah.
First of all, let me anchor you in where we were, which was like a very trendy, cute Italian restaurant on Flatbush Ave. Carey gives me a little heads up that our waiter is very good looking. And indeed, he was.
He was.
And I want to be
He
clear.
didn't have Riz, though.
None.
None at all.
None, period.
He wasn't even trying. It's like, hello?
I was like, we're literally dripping with sex appeal.
With sex appeal. and
Why are you
hotness.
throwing yourself at me?
It's so weird that he wasn't. Anyway.
I know. He was a little test from God, though. And we said, not interested.
Right.
Thank you. No
Does it-
no sinners here.
We don't do that.
No, legs crossed under that table. But it was eerie because I walked over and I was like, it's a gorgeous day.
Mhm.
Like blue skies, good temps, no notes. And then we start talking and you were like, I'm having just like intense feelings about the month of August. Like
Yeah.
you were just like planting these thoughts about like, I can't place it, but like something seismic is about to take place soon.
No, and Isabelle fully like held space for me as I talked about August, like uninterrupted for like the entire duration of
I was
our
hanging
meal.
on your every word.
And I was like, yeah. And it's
I
interesting.
was waiting for you to be like, because in this vision, I see you kind of ascending.
No, and it was fully about me.
No, I know. I was
No.
like, and kind of like, where am I in August? Or,
No, you're there for everything.
yeah, no, I'm like,
No,
I'm like
and
stage
actually,
left.
I mean, we can talk about this off pod because there are some sensitive topics, but you have been a very like grounding force. Like I never tell people about my predictions
Yeah.
and about the things that I'm Okay, Connor's laughing at me.
Connor's laughing.
Okay, Connor's laughing.
Connor's like, and maybe keep that in.
And maybe you don't want to, it's like going to be Salem Witch Trials part 2. Like,
I went to Salem. That's for later.
oh my
I
God.
learned some troubling information about Parker's ancestors.
Wait, did you hear that like they just recently like the state of Connecticut or whatever is that it's in Connecticut, right? Okay. I don't
You're
know.
like the state of Connecticut. Is
Salem,
that right?
Massachusetts.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Connor had to look that up actually.
I literally thought you were like, is Connecticut a state? I was like, yeah, huh?
I know, but I forgot where Salem was.
Mass, babe.
The state of Massachusetts like recently like passed legislation that said like we shouldn't have done that to the witches.
Yeah, I mean, what they did there was fucked for
Yeah.
sure. Parker revealed to me on the ride in that, and I'm sorry, but like we have to call him in. He revealed to me that one of his ancestors was the chief judge in the hangings. I was like,
Oh
okay,
my
so
God.
we're sleeping in separate beds for the rest of our lives.
You're marrying into some dark ancestral trauma.
I can't even imagine what I'm going to pass on to my children.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to do some clearing for sure.
Can you help?
Yeah.
Do you know how?
No, but
Do you know
we'll
some
figure it out.
people?
I know some people.
It like really changed my view of my man's.
No, it's scary.
I was like, okay, you hate women? And he
Right.
like was trying to explain. He was like, no, this is literally in the 1600s. And I was like, no. I hear that. But like, you bear his seed.
I mean, this is like when I found out that my grandmother was not only in the Daughters of the American Revolution, but also
The dark.
colonial dames. But also colonial dames.
That's 2 strikes for Aunt Edith or whatever her name was.
my grandmother, Virginia.
Of
May
course.
she rest in peace.
Oh, all right.
She was old and she was a smoker.
I didn't mean to be like, oh, all right. I'm sorry
Aw.
that she passed. That's
No, she
sad.
like got kind of racist at the end, so it's like
They always
probably
do.
better that she.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like good up there, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Back with her
Back with our
daughters.
dead people.
Back with her daughters.
Wait, also, I love that.
What
Literally,
the fuck were we talking about?
I was
Oh my God. Our seismic.
our seismic
Meeting.
dinner.
Yeah. Right. So, but Salem is actually related because what happened was quite witchy,
Right.
which was you were insistent that August was going to happen. And I said, I'm there.
Prediction: the month of August is happening.
Okay. August is the new black. And I was there with you 100% because I do feel like you have this special, you're tapped into something.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to be close to you because I'm famously tapped into nothing. And so like through osmosis, I get to be tapped too.
Sure.
But I was just like, yeah, like August is happening. And then we were really on a roll. We were like really skewering some people alive on Instagram, which felt great. Like you were just,
Who was I talking about?
you know,
I guess. Oh, right.
you were pulling
Of
up
course,
some like
of course.
cringe word. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that
And
was
I-
really helpful for me.
We were just cleansing.
Yeah.
We were like laughing at people who deserve to be laughed at, truly.
Ogling people who deserve to be ogled.
Correct. Ogling people who deserve to be ogled and just like procuring vibes that deserve to be procured.
Yeah.
And then out of fucking nowhere, there is the most thunderous crash of lightning,
Thunderous lightning.
thunderous
even.
lightning even, rain blowing askew.
The rain was it was like the craziest thunderstorm.
It was the beginning of Oz is what I felt like.
For sure.
And in that moment, I was like, either our souls are switching bodies or we are getting confirmation from above that Carey's right.
Wow.
And I do kind of feel like both can be true. Like we might have switched a little bit also.
I feel like we stayed in our bodies, but I didn't even think about that as like a
I'm like, I don't think we we stayed in our bodies.
You're like, for a second, I think we were.
I was actually in you for a second.
Maybe. I didn't feel that.
Don't
but-
dismiss.
No, but I didn't even. It was a very powerful thunderstorm,
Yeah.
and it was a really nice night. I really appreciated you like holding space for me and being able to.
Oh my God.
Also, because like
always.
yeah, you're the only person that I could really like share that stuff with and
Of course.
not feel like. Because I wasn't, to be clear, I wasn't just saying August is happening. I was saying specific things.
You were twirling your hair. August is happening.
It's
Yeah.
like July 21st. But like I think you would attest to the fact that some of the things that I have said
Yeah.
that I said are
being realized
as
we speak.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I said we're going to record a podcast.
Yeah, I said, here's a thought. But I just thought it was a really auspicious night because it was the first time we had like hung second penis joke.
Hung solo, great
second penis joke.
stripper name.
For sure. What was I saying? Distracted by thinking about like what hung solo would be dressed like.
I think we know.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we don't get the chance to hang out off pod often.
Yeah.
And we did. And it was like post summer break or post hiatus of the pod. And we were like trying to think about what was next. And we just had this like message from the gods that like something big was about to happen.
Right. It felt like an inciting incident, you know?
And what we didn't know is that something would be big and it would be my sweat stains right now.
So
Currently.
I predicted that.
So something came true.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else to say about the dinner. I thought it was a really nice night.
Yeah, I just wanted to like touch base about that because I think we should do it more often. We should be getting chilled red wine and drinking pasta, like at least
drinking pasta for sure.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Don't edit that out. Don't edit that out. Keep it in.
Pasta could. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it was a great night, and we should do that some more. I actually was going to invite you to dinner at some point soon.
Oh yeah, whenever.
Because I have a birthday coming up, famously.
I know.
You're going to be out
nervous.
of town maybe that weekend, or oh no,
No, I'm there.
you're there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I responded.
Right, you're coming.
Me and my Salem witch judge of a husband to be will be there. No worries.
Perfect. He's
We can tar
gonna
and feather
love
him.
the vibes of my abode.
I'm bringing him to get put in the gallows, stoned to death.
I'm gonna immediately upon him getting there, I'll Palo Santo his whole body. I'm like, we're cleansing your aura before you
No,
come
I
into this
know.
place.
I think he would welcome it too. He was like kind of presenting it as factual information. I think by the end of the weekend, he was like, damn, like,
No, that's hard. It's hard information to digest about yourself and your lineage.
yeah,
Many of us white people have to deal with stuff like that. It's
Oh,
difficult.
for sure. I'm not immune, but
No.
the witches, like, bro, leave those girls alone.
Leave them alone. They didn't deserve that.
No, they didn't. Well, speaking of seismic summer moments,
Right.
I do, because we are, nearing the end of our time here. Let's briefly do this.
Yeah. I think we should maybe save the big. Well, I know we've talked a lot about ghosts and skeletons, and sort of the vibe has been about death.
Yes.
And that was going to be one of our topics. But I feel like maybe we should save it. Right?
Or we could just get into it because we're here.
Right. But this is like a fun part about producing in real time.
Right.
I'm down.
To get into death?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, first of all, I think what I was going to say about the summer transformation thing, which we can always revisit.
Yeah.
And maybe let's do this.
Let's revisit summer transformations in like February.
Right.
Like when it's topical.
When it's top of mind. Before we move on, though, I want you to say the top summer transformation that comes to mind for you,
Like of my life.
either in your life or in the zeitgeist.
Okay, I say in the zeitgeist, I would say Topanga is the blueprint.
Yeah.
She is what it's all about, because
Mhm.
in the first season of that show, Boy Meets World, she was Frump City, and she was like,
I know that's right.
and I know that's right, and she was like supposed to be that way. Obviously, they were like in middle school.
Yeah.
Then there was like this one, transition between seasons where she comes back and she has like a perfect, like she has a perfect new haircut. She's like wearing cute clothes. She's like matured into her body, and she's like gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, like hubba hubba.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And that's really what like summer transformations are supposed to be. And I do
Right.
feel like I had one summer, like I was never like, okay, I went to all girls school, as I think people know. No, they don't, because that would imply that they listen to this podcast. But I went to all girls school, and
the cousins are like, we know.
they're like,
Move on.
get it out. but one, like, so I was never like sort of in any way sexualized by the boys in my, like, in our brother school, except for this one year when it was like the first dance after summer break.
You got boobs?
I think I got boobs. I think I started wearing makeup.
Yeah.
It was just like I was a little bit whatever, like a little bit older. And this kid, I'll never forget, his name was Paxton Moore. And he was, I know.
That's such like a never have I ever Netflix TV show name.
Yeah. Like,
I'm thinking of Paxton Hall Yoshida from Never Have I Ever.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Keep going.
Great show. He, like, we were at like a dance and he kind of looked at me and he was like, whoa, like Carey's hot now. And I was like, finally.
That'll stick with you.
Finally, yeah.
That, and then that is your bat mitzvah.
And it's not like
that's your womanhood.
To be clear, like, he didn't want me.
Yeah.
But he was sort of making a comment about how I could potentially be desired by someone.
Yeah.
That's not him.
He's like, hey, girly, it couldn't be me. It won't be me.
And it was like an anthropological, it was like there was a distance to the comment that was like, I can tell that you aren't into this.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the objectification.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like oftentimes it's like you go with the summer transformations, especially for gals. It was like you went from being literally unnoticed, like truly invisible, to like boys seeing you.
Right.
Which was kind of sad.
And like acknowledging your personhood.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like before then it was like just me and the gals and like in our own world.
And I honestly, like, to go back to that, like, how amazing.
You and the gals in your own world.
Yeah, just like to not have that gaze.
Oh.
Even though when I first received it, it was awesome and transcendent.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's become so commonplace.
Oh, for sure. Well, men are not okay. I was on the subway yesterday. A man turns to me and goes, you look like Marilyn Monroe. And I was like, you are
blind.
By legal standards, blind. And that's okay. But
or maybe you're thinking Marilyn Manson.
I was like, I think you're thinking of, Charlie Chaplin. I was like, you're thinking of some old figure, but.
You're thinking of Mickey Mouse?
I honestly didn't correct him. I was like, thank you.
Yeah. No, you were fully. You were fully standing above together. A grate, like,
I was like, thanks, I guess. But anyway,
I hope he gets his vision checked. You're beautiful,
I hope
but you don't look like her.
No, certainly not.
And you don't have to look like her to be beautiful.
To say that.
And I just want to be clear about my comments because
I
don't want to say that I'm degrading you because I'm not.
No, trust me. I mean, look, I'll take whatever comes my way. No worries.
Wait, but what is your summer transformation?
It's not quite, well, it is a summer transformation. The one I identified with most was, of course, Anne Hathaway, Princess Diaries, who went from frizzy hag to kind of like Charlotte from Sex and the City, a princess from Genovia.
Right.
But the reason I identified with that is because like everything about her pre-transformation was me. Like I had like one random quirky friend. My hair was a goddamn mess. And all I wanted. The scene
where he's brushing her hair and like the comb gets stuck is like forever emblazoned in my mind.
Yeah, no, me too. But I'll never forget, I like tried to have the Mia Thermopolis transformation going from my junior year to my senior year, where I was like, I was always a gal who wore her hair up, like too much frizz. I was super self-conscious about it. So I was like, this is the year where I'm gonna wear my hair down. I'm gonna be a little sexy with it. Sorry. And so I got sexy with it. I put my hair down, and lo and behold, a boy from my class approaches me and he said, I like what you did to your hair. And I was like, thank you. He goes, I like that you're wearing it frizzy now.
Oh.
And I said, we're shaving it tonight.
Yeah, no, it's
and I said, we're going full Britney bald tonight.
Wow. And he had no idea what he was doing.
No, he, in his brain, I believe, was trying to say something nice.
No, he was.
And instead what he did was level me, took me out by my knees.
Oof.
I know.
And he has no idea that, like.
And speaking of ego deaths, should we get into our final?
I suppose. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk for 11 minutes about the concept of death.
Yeah.
Well, I actually think, some transformation. Death is like the ultimate transformation.
It's the ultimate transformation.
Right?
It's the most mysterious transformation.
We don't know what happens there, but we do know that a transformation occurs.
Absolutely.
And you go to the Bone Museum after that.
I'm like, well, no, we do know what happens. We go next door.
Yeah, the consciousness stays with the bones.
With Old Man Jenkins. His name now is Old Man Jenkins.
Old Man Jenkins, OMJ. Well, the reason that I have been thinking about death a lot.
Yeah.
It's been for most of my life, but then also recently,
Of course.
and it's appearing in my dreams all the time. But the thing that really got me interested in it is that I started to notice that it's become such a common theme in like popular music of this year. And it's like, obviously that's not the first time that death has been like part of what people talk about and do art about.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I've noticed it as a theme. Like there's this song that just came out, Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga. And then like Birds of a Feather is a song about death. And like Ariana Grande's like the first song of her new album is called End of the World, and it's about death. And like all these songs are kind of about how like we're definitely gonna experience an apocalypse, but like love you though. Like it's like that's like the theme.
But you're my girl though.
Right. It's like you made like life was cool. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Let's die.
It would be interesting to kind of like trace back when, because I agree, it is very like present in the music zeitgeist right now. And it'd be interesting to like trace back when they all started writing those songs, because I feel like there was a period of time. I mean, shit has been bad for a while. Let's be
let's be real.
Let's be very clear. Shit has not been great. But I feel like we're kind of like emerging from the other side of what was like, and by the skin of our teeth, mind you, like things are still not great. But like there was a period over the summer where I was like, oh my God, like this is the end of modern society as we literally know it.
No, when like an actual corpse was like insisting upon running for US president.
And we were like all meant to fall in line.
Right. And it's like, for sure, like this person can represent like the society.
Yeah.
And the society is dying.
Yeah. And to be clear, I would have fallen in line because the other corpse was.
I wouldn't have.
I know. And that's okay.
And that's fine.
And that's fine.
And I'm gonna vote for Kamala.
No, of course.
And I don't agree with her on everything.
Right.
But I'll do it.
Right. But it feels good.
Boss.
It feels good to be on the other side is what I'm saying, where I'm like, oh, okay, now we can go back to like what's normal to disagree with someone about, as opposed to kind of like, I don't agree with the state of your internal organs.
Right. I don't agree with the state of how you're showing up sort of physically with your shuffling.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with your posture, actually.
Yeah, it's not your positions necessarily politically, but more so the position of your body.
The position of your body is upsetting to me.
Because you should be in a recliner, I think.
Absolute. Yeah. So yeah, there were that period, and then also, you know, when the Supreme Court was going off the rails about just like rewriting the rules of the way that things work, I was so like, cool. Oh, we are in, like, things are really bad.
Yeah.
Like, things are really unraveling, and like we're helpless.
I'm scared that things are still unraveling, but now we just think that they're not.
Yeah, well, they're unraveling and we're smiling.
And it's like Lil Jon is there, so it's fine.
Yeah, Lil Jon is like, you'll make it through. Okay.
We got her to do it again.
Okay. No, that felt too country. I'll try again later.
Later. Next episode.
That'd be kind of like the bookend.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was saying is it'd be interesting to kind of like trace back when all of those songs started to pop up, because I wouldn't be surprised if it was like all around the same time, where like things got so bleak and so dark where, I don't know, maybe it was just kind of like easier to envision, or maybe things felt so bad that you could almost make light of what the topic that they were talking about, because it all just felt, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, no, I feel like something I noticed, or like a connection I was trying to make with the music thing, is that like in 2020, when like shit was really hitting the fan and it was like dark times.
Yeah.
A lot of the music that was coming out was like upbeat and like trying to get people to be okay. And like, you know, we're going to be okay. It was like, it felt like people were like really, they had faith that music was the thing that was going to like get us through. And I think perhaps like, you know,
like maybe just one more stream of fight song will do it.
Yeah, that'll do it, I think.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I feel like now we're, like you said, we're kind of we're transitioning to a different era, and it's like things are kind of better, but also kind of worse. And it's like, now we can kind of talk about it, I guess, and say, you know, we are going to die, and that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's what it is, where it's just kind of like no more gilding the lily, where it's just
what
like,
is that?
Ooh, Connor, help.
Can you look up gilding the lily?
I think it means like putting lipstick on a pig.
Oh,
or
but a lily is like a nice thing. Why would you want to gild it? I guess that's the point.
I
I
think
have
it's
the definition here for you.
Let's go.
It's spoiling something that is already beautiful or perfect by trying to improve it or by praising it too highly.
okay.
Oh.
So not,
People are always gilding the lily to me.
of course, not what I'm talking about,
Right.
because that would imply that we're like trying to make something good. We're trying to
Better
soil
when
something
it's like we're
good.
trying to make something bad better.
Right. So I think, right. And what you were describing, where it's like the first time around, it was kind of like, we don't really know what's on the other side
Right,
of
right.
this. Like, let's
It could be good, maybe.
It could be good. Maybe we need to shake things up. And then we saw what was bad. And then we kind of got pulled out of it again. And now we're right back at the beginning and we're like, oh, wait, no, that was really scary the first time that happened. There's no like fight song or Pokemon going to the polls that's going to make this feel better.
Right.
I think we actually just need to sit in what this feels like right now. And that's kind of like death.
Right. And it's like kind of silly to pretend like that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the artist kind of coming out and saying, let's, but it's, there's also this twinge of it where it's like be happy. Like, it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm still
Yeah.
kind of working through my thoughts about it, but it's interesting, I think. I feel like
Yeah.
people are getting more comfortable actually like acknowledging that this is a thing that happens to us humans.
Yeah. And again, I don't mean to like all tie it back to the political moment, because I can't speak on behalf of, I have no idea what,
And
if
we don't
that's
know
like
anything.
infusing. Yeah, I have no idea. But I do think like the topic of death has been so, it's like the tale as old as time, because it is like what we were saying. It's like the greatest mystery. And I
Yeah.
feel like for that reason, it'll always kind of be like a theme in art and music, because it's just like, the hell is on the other side? We have
Well,
no
and
idea.
I think also with like Western culture, we have such a fucked up way of like dealing with it, where it's like we were listening to that podcast of where they were talking about how like we outsource death in a way, like in more like traditional cultures, they like do ritual and like ceremony with the dead, and like
yeah,
they,
you're like really in touch with it.
you're with the person and you handle the body yourself. Like it's like we send them to hospice, we send them to
Yeah.
a coroner, we send them whatever, and it's like then they get embalmed at the funeral place. It's like we have such a cold distance
yeah.
to it in our society. So I'm welcoming the, you know, artists kind of trying to get us to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
speaking of, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just gonna say, speaking of artists, you have been reading one of our greats,
One of our greats.
one of our so-called greats,
Oh,
and that's what I have to say. Sorry, I've only read that one book,
which one?
The Year of Magical Thinking.
Oh, yeah. So it's funny because I completely got it mixed up with another one. Like I thought I was picking up, there's one,
I
whatever.
thought you were picking up Harry Potter.
thought I was picking up Peppa the Pig, and here I am reading The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. But anyway, I knew one premise was like a book of short stories about travel, and the other one was the death one, and I was surprised to find that I chose the death one. Anyway, it's a fascinating read. That woman, my God, went through like the two worst tragedies of her entire life in the span
Right.
of a year.
That was bad.
But it is really interesting because I feel like in doing it, she really had to kind of like do what you're describing, which is like really sit with and be present with the concept of death in a way that like we try really hard not to be. Like
Mhm.
she was really like wrestling with it and trying to understand what about it made it so hard to fathom. And honestly, I think something that really resonated with me, because it's always been like a weird source of, I've had, of course, like a lot of people, just like tragic losses, untimely losses. And every time I've learned about them, I have not emoted. Like it's been impossible for me to, I'll do it later.
Mhm.
But in the moment, it's like I receive the information and I acknowledge it. And then I'm like, okay.
Right.
Like, and I don't move on, but it's just really hard for me to like appreciate the gravity of it in the moment. And I think something that she writes about, which was really sticking with me, is like the notion that something is there and then it's not.
Yeah.
Like everything is normal. And then in an instant, while everything else maintains that same level of normalcy, something very specific within that is no longer there.
Yeah.
And that like in the instantness that she like keeps coming back to, where it's like, and I think a lot of people who write about death, like these themes emerge where it's like I woke up in the morning and it was clear blue skies and I had my Special K and berry clusters and like I went on business as usual and then I went to bed a different person. And it's like the notion of the instantness where it's like, well, how can actually someone who is so physically and emotionally present just like not be there?
Yeah. No, it's so surreal.
Yeah. And I'll get waves of it though, where I'm like, whoa, like that person who was very present is no longer there. And then that's when I'll start to entertain like, well, what happened to that body?
Mm-hmm. What happened to the thing that animated the body?
Right. Exactly. 100%. And like, is it true that the body is just like a physical field for something to exist within?
It has to be, because when the person dies, like obviously, they start to decompose and then they go to the bone museum. But before that,
which our last note is right next door.
Before that, there's a period of time where they're there, the body's there.
Yeah.
But that thing that was in the body is not in the body.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Right. And where is that? Right. And that's, I think. Sorry, now I'm thinking about the bone museum.
I love us kind of trying to tackle this topic in the last 10 minutes of this podcast.
I love saying Mia Thermopolis 5 minutes ago and then being like, yeah, and so the physical plane with which our soul resides is,
Topanga is the blueprint, and where do we go when we die?
Really trying to get as many listeners as we can.
Yeah. We want to appeal to a wide audience.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think, just speaking to like art and the way that I feel like Joan, love that girl. I do feel like she ran up against the limitations of like how to express.
Yeah.
Because I hear what you're saying about like there's like your reaction kind of being muted or like dampened in a way because there's just like so much to take in about it. And that was part of why I really didn't like that book, or it just didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
Because she was so clinical with it and she was so like logical and like, I don't know, there was the way that she spoke about it was so unemotional.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, it's like the most emotional thing ever.
100%. Well, yeah, I mean, like, because I completely agree. But then I was like, I actually think this is like her. I think I can see a world where she's writing it in the moment where it's like her understanding of it has to be clinical because trying to entertain anything bigger than that, like, doesn't feel possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also it was like,
but
I
the
feel
fact
like
that we have different reactions to it, I think is completely normal because I think that it's like inherently, because it's really speaking to me.
Right.
Well, as someone who's like, yeah.
It speaks to a lot of people.
Right.
And I've like on Goodreads after I finished it, I was like scanning for people who agreed with me. And there was like more people who agreed with you about it.
Yeah.
And I think also maybe it's like the way that it was framed to me was that it's like a book about grief. And it's like, well, don't write a book about grief if you're not going to shed a single tear.
So,
honey.
Well,
honey.
Okay, drag her. Go, do it.
No, I'm just doing that thing where it's like, she's like the breakdancer. And I'm being like, what you're doing is bad.
That little kind of like imitation that you, well, to that point about grief, she had an interesting line. And it's funny that I'm like quoting a line because famously, as I read things, I forget them. Like, in one ear, out the other hole. Mm-hmm. You know, as they say, in
one ear, out the other hole. Yeah, that's what they say.
Can't say which one. It's going out of some
one
hole.
Of them.
What was he?
She had a line.
Oh yeah, she had a line where she basically was like, "There's grief, which happens to you, and then there's mourning."
Okay.
Or sorry, yes, grief, which is passive, where it's like kind of like you're letting this new news wash over you and you're just kind of like sitting with it and trying to like, you're not trying to do anything. You're just kind of like sitting with something that's washing over you. And then mourning is like the work that comes after. Mm-hmm. And I suspect that a lot of this book was written while she was grieving. In a state of grief.
I honestly don't get the difference.
I think I think I do because like, for example, when my grandpa died, who was like such an important person to me, and his death was like not untimely. He lived a really full life, but his decline was super fast. Like it was almost like in the instantness that we're talking about, where he was like healthy and on the phone with me and then really not well shortly after, whatever. learning the news, I basically like existed on business as usual for like 5 months of just being like, oh, that was sad, but he lived such a full life. And I was like sitting with the news that had happened and kind of like helping my mom, who was really having a hard time, and her sisters who were also having a hard time. And then I feel like this is so weird, but like my family dog died, and that unlocked something in me where I was like, whoa, like I'm feeling, of course, like losing a pet is hard, but the way that I grieved, the way that I felt after that, I was like, this is different. Like I'm feeling something so big and so sad that I almost wonder if this is like the mourning part happening of that death.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sure in like her Joan Didion way, as she was probably like mincing words a little bit, but I do understand 2 different phases.
That's cool. I wish that I understood, because I'm currently in one of them and I don't know which one. Maybe they are like, they go back and forth or something, or they can coexist.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, I think grief is like an ongoing, like, I get what you're saying, where it's like grief is like you adjusting to the new reality.
Yeah.
Whereas mourning is like you doing like the emoting around like the loss, maybe.
Yeah.
We shouldn't make definitions on here, but
can't even ask Connor to look this up. So we're kind of at a loss.
This is just like an objective.
Like, Connor, is my opinion right?
An answer.
Okay, cool. No answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good answer. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Google and Connor. So yeah, I imagine that what I'm saying now, I'll probably completely change my tune on soon.
No, I am glad that you are resonating with that book, because it's giving me like, I felt like I was crazy when I was reading that, because every person told me that it was like the seminal text on grief. And I did read it before I went through a horrible loss. So maybe if I read it again, I would feel more connected to it. But I just remember feeling like, why are you talking about like a dinner party you went to in the 60s in California when like your husband is just like, I thought this was about I was just like kind of confused as to like and I think that's also part of it. Like you go down these like different rabbit holes of like memories and stuff. And like, I do think she was taking us there, but I just didn't feel super connected to the way that she wrote it.
And honestly, like it actually is speaking to me that it spoke to me and not to you, because I think that you are it's your superpower, but you are so in touch with your emotions.
Yeah.
You're crazy, girl.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But you feel things really deeply.
Yeah.
And like in the moment in a way that I really envy. And like I feel like when it comes to like especially hard emotions, like I don't bury them, but I just have a really hard time like being with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that Mrs. Did is in a similar boat, if I had to guess. So I feel like it's not surprising to me that it's speaking to us in different ways.
That's what makes us such a powerful duo.
I know.
Like Dee Dee and Dexter.
I thought you were calling Joan Dee Dee for a second. I was like,
Joan Dee Dee.
I was like, put some respect on her name.
I wanted to grade her so much because I don't agree with her.
Yeah. JDDD.
Should we, speaking of transitions,
oh, we didn't get your dream.
I know, it's fine. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
ChatGPT did a really good job of interpreting it.
Carey had a death dream and I was going to analyze it, and then she just made the cloud do it for her.
I'll just say, I'll describe it really quickly. The dream was this. I was laying in a bed and I suddenly had a very intense pounding pain in my head. Like it's what I think maybe a stroke might feel like.
Okay.
And I fell to the ground. But it wasn't a stroke because blood started gushing out of my head like a fountain, like
a
of
lesion.
Blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm dying. Like this is dying. Like this is what dying is. Okay. And I was like very at peace with it because I was like, cool. Like I want this to be over. And I felt like the pain. I felt so viscerally. And then like it happened again. I had a second stroke and more blood. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. Like death isn't coming right now. So I need to like get help, I guess.
So to gauze this wound.
So I army crawled across the room. And blood is everywhere.
Holy shit.
It was literally so graphic. Sorry, trigger warning after the fact. That's how that works. You say the thing and then you tell people that it's triggering. And then I start calling for help.
Yeah.
And like eventually my dad comes meandering out of a room and he goes, "You okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm bleeding and the blood is everywhere." And he was like, "Oh yeah, like we should get you to the hospital." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks." And he was like, "Okay, I'll call us an Uber." And I was like, "Call 911, you idiot." And he was like, "No, like
He's like,
okay.
You think Uber pool or what?
Yeah, like I don't know. Should we do wait and save? Like,
Do you mind walking to the corner? You can save $5 or like, what's the deal, girl?
Literally, that was his attitude. And I was like in disbelief. And then like at one point we were waiting for the Uber and I'm literally bleeding out. And he's just like scrolling at his phone as we're like waiting for this Uber. And then my sister pops her head out of a room and goes, "Is everything okay? I heard like a loud noise."
He's like, turns his phone and it's Raygun. Bro, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, and she's like, "That's not very demure of you." But yeah, that was the end of the dream. But I woke up and I was like, it was so scary.
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts.
Well, we don't have time.
But
for
we
any
don't
of
have
them.
time. But for private, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
but
tell me them later.
Like two figures emerge for me.
I can't wait to hear them.
Let me run it by ChatGPT to see if we can
ChatGPT was really validating because they were like,
did you give context to ChatGPT?
No, I just described the dream. And then they give you like, I recommend doing this. It's like actually really helpful. They give you like several different like themes that you might be exploring subconsciously. And I felt very validated because one of them, they were like seeking assistance. And it was like, perhaps like, your dad calling an Uber instead of 911 like made you feel like you weren't being taken care of.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm crying
Which
now. Thank
some would
you,
argue
robot.
is a theme.
Which some might argue is a theme.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later because we do have a final segment that we like to do at the end of this podcast.
I can't believe we're at the end.
I know.
Oh, I want to go.
Well, I do because I'm sweating.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I need to bathe and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Final segment. Introduce it, girl.
It's called Message in a Bottle. And it's where we just give a note of love and gratitude to something that we want to share. And we send it off into the sea.
Aww. And we hope that someone catches it. And in this case, it's one of the two of us.
Yeah.
You go first because I went first for flip and flop.
Okay. I thought I went first.
Did you?
Yeah. I think.
Oh, yeah. Because you had a flip. And that was, yes.
So you actually go first.
Okay. I'll keep it brief. So there is a massage place on the corner of my block denoted by a smiling foot clip art on the outside. Every time I've passed, I said, couldn't be me in there.
Mm-hmm.
Simply couldn't be me in there. Until we looked up the prices and we realized it can be me in there. Oh, it can be me in there. So I went with Parker. We were put in separate massage rooms.
Thank God.
And yeah, can you imagine?
No.
Again, like I can barely sleep in the same bed as him knowing about the Salem witch trial of it all. So like, you're
not going to be able to relax into your...
And who knows what they're going to expunge. What spirits?
Right. He has some darker energy.
What insidious energy is going to be unleashed from those shoulders. So anyway, separate rooms, my request. And I'm not a touch gal. I think we've been over this.
Yeah, we like never hug, which is crazy.
We never hug. And if we do, it's like
loose.
We tap each other on the back.
I am like a big, like, I love to be embraced in like a warm hug.
Sorry I can gift that to you.
And she's like,
I'm like, see you on the other side. Champ. Darling.
Yeah.
So anyway, not a big physical touch gal. I also like famously have never loved massages because maybe it's just in the way that like my cousins choose to massage. Yeah, we massage each other, grow up.
Wow.
It's always been too light. You know what I mean? Like I don't like the sensation of tickle.
No, and don't half-ass it. If we're trying to get my knots out, get them out.
Get my fucking knots out.
Yeah.
Yeah, with gusto.
No, and there's nothing more uncomfortable than like a timid massage.
Oh, yeah. Because then I'm like, do I like timidly smile while you're doing it? And that's got to be even creepier.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then you also don't want to be like, go harder, cousin.
Yeah, go harder, cuz. Get in there, cuz. So anyway, massages have been kind of like off the table for those reasons.
For sure.
And anyway, my body is in a state of decay. I'm sitting too much. I'm not stretching. And I was like, I actually feel like I need this. I was rearranged in there. Homegirl rebuilt me. I'm telling you, my lungs ended up where my pancreas is supposed to be, and my pancreas ended, I don't know where.
Which is good because you did have pancreatitis earlier this year.
No, which is good because my pancreas is no good to begin with. It was so it wasn't relaxing. Like it was healing. And that like I was wide awake the whole time because there were points where I was like, oh, cool, I can't breathe.
Right.
Or like, sweet, that kind of seems like actually something snapped and maybe that wasn't like a knot.
Right. What was that noise? Yeah.
Yeah, what was that noise? And like, can you put it back actually where it belongs? But anyway, I am now inspired to have more of like a routine massage visit to this place.
I love that. I want to do that someday when I have money.
No,
But
I'm
think,
telling you.
No, but here's the thing. I have to go to like a 5-star hotel spa.
Oh, that's like
'Cause
what
that's
you
just
demand.
who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm working my way up.
I want there to be several different aromatherapy options for me.
Fascinating. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
kind of like take your shoes off and put on one of 2 pairs of shoes that someone else just took off.
Yeah, no, it's for me a massage is less it's about the massage, but it's also about the environment and like the smells are very important and like
Totally.
the lighting, like there needs to be like bamboo somewhere, you know, like it has to be.
That's interesting.
that
So
way.
the fact that I had this experience at 167 Lincoln, which is the address and the name of the establishment,
Creative.
leads me to believe that there's a future for me in massage. Not like doing it, but
Yeah.
receiving it.
I think
of
that
course.
that's so good, and I'm glad that you like are having an awakening when it comes to that type of physical touch. I feel like that could also have, you know, ripple effect down the road.
Our
like,
hugs are about to be so
Our hugs are gonna be
electric.
good. Yeah. You actually just didn't have your organs in the right
My
place.
chakra,
before.
yeah, my
Your
lungs
chakras
were
are
where my
misaligned.
lungs were supposed to be, and the whole time they just needed to be where my pancreas was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And already while she was massaging me, it was all upper body, which was nice because I'm shaped literally like a parabola most of the time. But she started massaging my hips, and I was like, "That's next.
mhm.
Oh, we're going deep
That's the
on
new
hips
frontier,
next time."
yeah.
Yeah, that's my new organ trail.
It's manifest destiny of your body.
Yeah, we're like listing all the wrong push terms.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And I feel like I know a bunch of people who are very good at like, I don't know, they get facials
Yeah.
regularly or they get massages regularly. And I always like, that's so indulgent and so time consuming. And this was very quick. It was 30 minutes and I left feeling anew and I'm going to do it more often.
I love that. It's such a good thing to like have as a part of your self-care
Yeah.
routine. So
That's all.
wow. Well, that's a beautiful I'm gonna be.
Your turn.
It's my turn, and my message in a bottle goes out to little orphan Annie.
Go off,
We know the
sister.
one. You know the one.
You know the one.
Look, I was just thinking about her randomly, and I was like, this bitch was.
She got her bag.
She was the first manifestation girly.
She got her bag.
She said, I don't care what my circumstances look like. I'm going to just believe that it gets better.
Yeah.
And then guess what happened? Zaddy Warbucks came in.
She said, I'll call you whatever you want. Daddy Warbucks works just fine.
And it's like, that guy wasn't even supposed to adopt her. He wanted a boy.
Mhm.
But then her vibes were so good that he was like, actually, I love you in a way that like a father should love a daughter.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's just because she was like a
She's
good vibes
such
girl.
a guy's girl.
She's such a pick me.
Oh my God. She's
Actually,
like,
I
yeah, can I
hate
have a
her.
brewer? Pass me a brewski, daddy. It's like, I randomly love my daughter.
No, but I just like, I'm really inspired by her
Yeah.
because like my life isn't that bad. Like I'm not an orphan and living in Miss Hannigan's hellhole. But, and I obviously don't have red hair,
Miss
which is
Hannigan's
great.
Hellhole is my stripper name. Hung Solo is
Hung
yours.
Solo.
Yeah.
But I'm very inspired by like her ability to maintain a positive attitude
Totally.
in like the worst of times. And, you know, she got to meet FDR because she was just good vibes. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to sort of embody her and use her example as like a role model for me in my life.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. I need to rewatch Little Orphan Annie, I think.
I wasn't even watching it. I was just kind of like passively
Musing-
ideating about her.
musing
Yeah.
on it. Yeah. Whatever happened? Did the other orphans resent Annie?
So the other orphans all got adopted because of her by all of Zaddy Warbucks' rich friends.
oh my God.
That's what happens in the end.
Yeah.
So it's like because of Annie, not only does she have a better life, but everyone around her is positively uplifted.
there's a lot of message that we can extract from
Yeah.
this. When we do well, you all do well.
Right?
Yeah.
And so be like Annie. I'm going to be like her. And if you see me being negative, that's not me. That was somebody else.
You know what's sad is like I definitely looked like Little Orphan Annie for a period of time, And I promise you, I wasn't going to be adopted by Daddy Warbucks.
I think you could have won him over.
You think so?
Yeah, because you have the charm. Like she had that.
She had the
too.
charisma.
She wasn't even like that cute, and she was obviously like in rags and shit.
You're like, she was like even busted, but
She was,
like she still got
kind of gross. But like Zaddy was still just like, you know what? Maybe I don't want a boy. Maybe I want.
Yeah, here's the key
Annie.
to the city.
Here's the key to the
And
city.
guess what? It's New York, New York.
And let's go skip around Times Square and like sing a song together.
Yeah. Oh.
And he probably made his money through nefarious means, but that doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
It was like the Rockefeller era. So
yeah, I was gonna say whatever Bitcoin was back then
yeah,
is
just
what
like
he was.
coal.
Coal, the original Bitcoin, of course,
Yeah,
of course,
for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, maybe that should be our next date is a rewatch with some popcorn. Do
I'm
you like
down.
yours buttered
Yeah,
popcorn?
yeah.
How buttered?
We can have different bowls.
Okay. Yeah. You're kind of like leading me to believe you like a lot of butter.
I don't like a lot of butter, but I feel like you don't like any butter.
No, I like butter.
Oh,
Light butter.
I like light butter.
Okay.
I also, this is a hot take, but I also really like kettle corn.
Yeah, for sure.
I love when something is like, psych, it's actually sweet. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, this was traditionally not.
Yep.
But the thing that I like to do with popcorn when I have it is I get dark chocolate M&Ms.
Here we go. Now we're getting into it.
And I
Keep going.
And I melt the butter.
Yep.
Not too much, just enough. And salt.
A pad of butter.
Butter and a little bit of salt. And then put in the dark chocolate M&Ms while the popcorn's still hot. And so they get kind of melty.
Yeah, we would have to do it at your apartment though, because your living room has impeccable movie vibes.
Wait, also, I do popcorn on the stove, which is better.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Did you get the Orville Redenbacher's kernels that are just like in a
And then
in a tub?
Okay. And I see.
And then you put them in oil on the stove, and it tastes so much better than. Actually, I don't think it tastes better, but it feels better.
To do by your hand, by the
Because
hand
it's
of
like
God.
I'm a colonial dame in that moment.
Dying of smallpox, but I will have my last little bite of Orville.
Little bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Next date on the books.
Love it.
Is there anything else?
I think I don't know. I'm good.
I think we've overstayed our welcome.
Good. I had to go.
I think Connor's like, hey, look, so I know you signed a contract, but we're actually going to have to undo that.
we can't endorse what's going on.
We actually
here.
can't have you back here, like at all, ever. This was a blast.
Yeah, this was great. Let me guys know.
Let me guys know.
Let us know what you think of us being on camera, and if you think that that's a grave mistake.
Yeah, and like maybe if we should kind of like try a little harder, or kind of like show a little more tit,
or if we should Timbuktu ourselves. It's always an option.
Everything's on the table.
Yeah.
So we end every podcast like we always do. And wave goodbye.
And if you're not watching, that's fine.
And if you're not watching, actually that's a good
Okay.
Goodbye.
Love you, school.
Love you, school.
Bye.
So happy to be back.
Kisses.